Tommy Best, and you're listening to today's Boondoggle.
This is Mark Metcalf, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio.
You are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio. Yes, Ghetto E listens to this all the time.
Welcome to today's Boondoggle. Now, here's your host.
What's going on, everybody? It's Bill Bailey with today's Boondoggle, and I'm really stoked about the conversation I'm about to have here today. An old friend of mine, we were catching up, and I'm probably going to learn a lot of new things that I didn't know about my friend Eric Cooper here, aka FKA, formerly known as Ghetto E, here in the music scene, and I'm sure we'll get into that. But Eric, glad to have you here, man.
Yeah, it's cool. So I was kind of, I was stoked that you asked. It was, I felt I was kind of shocked, I guess. And
no, I mean, it's like, and I definitely get into like some of what we were talking about before we came on, but I don't always just talk with local friends on here. Obviously, I have a lot of, and there's a our friends like Vince and Tripp do that sub CLE, and it's mostly Cleveland people, and they've had a lot of local people on. But when I have anybody that I've been friends with on, and it's not that I like try and do like people that aren't from Cleveland or whatever, but when I have people on, it's just like I said, I always try and look for some sort of inspiration in the story. And like I was telling you, I believe yours is pretty inspirational and will, I think get into that.
Sure.
But do you remember like before Peabody's, before we ever met, back when you were little E, do you remember what you wanted to be when you grew up?
To be honest, I never had like career, like, I want to grow up and be like a firefighter or that kind of thing. I was always from like a very young age, like into martial arts. So my goal in life was to become some sort of martial artist. that was my big goal as a kid, and then when UFC and stuff came around, I was like, I want to be a fighter, I never, and then as I got a little older, I started to want to be a welder because a lot of the guys in my family were welders. So I was like, well, I got to have a career. I got to make money, so I'll just do that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I didn't really like, I didn't realize like the childhood, like martial arts aspirations, but what was it about martial arts that like caught you as a child that?
Well, we're not too far apart in age, and that was like the action movie hero gaze, I guess, partly of that. I don't really know what first set the bug. Do you remember the show Carradine Kung Fu?
Yeah, Kung Fu. Yeah,
yeah. Like even as a kid, eventually my mom gave up fighting with me because she'd try to put me to bed, and I would get up when I hear the show come on, and she'd try to put me back to bed.
It was like a prime time show.
And she'd be like, "No, you gotta go back to bed," and I would just fight. But if I watched the show, I would just be like, "Cool," and go to bed.
Yeah.
So after a while, she stopped fighting with me. So I was just like, I don't know if the show is what first inspired it.
It sounds like it because I think at the end there was always some sort of like peaceful
lesson
story, lesson,
and some philosophical stuff from what I remember. But
like don't choke yourself when you're mad.
Don't die in a Thai fucking hotel, But then I got into Bruce Lee, and I think I was just enamored by it. My old man wasn't around a lot, so I watched these guys and how they did things. And I guess I just drew my inspiration from what I seen on TV, and just still can't really let that bug go, completely,
So yeah, because okay, that's cool. Then I mean, when I met you, Peabody's days,
right,
at shows, in the scene, in the pit, You know, I was introduced to you as Ghetto E.
Yeah.
That's how you were known as Ghetto E. So talk about, you know, what, you know, I know you're always drinking ghetto tea.
Well, I think everybody in
it.
the neighborhood was in my neighborhood was probably drinking that. I think that just started because the guys I knew from out, you know, Parma, from the shows, Parma, Brunswick, those guys. There was I want to say they're the ones that started the whole Ghetto E name. I can't remember if they knew somebody else named Eric, and they just needed like a something to differentiate.
So it's like you, hey,
like,
this is how highly we think about it.
You live in the ghetto, you're Ghetto E, you know, and then
so
it just kind of stuck.
Didn't grow up in the ghetto.
I grew up on basically like the East 55th Francis area, Broadway Avenue. If you could, I don't know how much time you ever spent in Slavic Village, but that's where we used to go to kind of get away from bullshit. But now it's just a ghetto too. It's, you know, and so I think that kind of came from like my buddies that were out this way that I met from going to shows. Yeah.
And you know, I mean, a lot of times, you know, as we know, we see the stories, you know, when you're in the ghetto, it's hard to get out. You know, a lot of times it's either the only way you're getting out is in a body bag. A lot of times,
or you just get stuck in you get stuck in a, even if that's not the case, you get a lot of people get stuck in that mindset of I can't do better. Yeah. Right. I can't do better, and it's not like I'm a baller, obviously, but you know, I'm just a blue collar dude. But I knew I wanted to have kids one day. I knew I was going to have kids, and I did have a kid young, and I was still living in the same area when he was a baby. But even though his mom and I split when he was young, we both never wanted him to have to live in that situation. Yeah, she grew up over there too. She was from a neighborhood over, basically, and we didn't want him to be there. And I knew beyond that, I never wanted any of my kids to have to deal with that. Like, even my younger boys, I'll work 5 jobs before I let them live in an area like that, you know. So,
and what was like, you know, for you, school, and I mean, growing up in that area, what was like, you know, what was like, I guess the music scene was kind of like became like an escape for you.
Yeah. So I started life in West Virginia until I was in like 3rd grade or 4th grade. And then that's when my mom and dad divorced, and my mom's mom, my grandmother on her side, was in Cleveland. So we moved up to the west side of Cleveland by Guthrie Avenue, and lived over there. And I went from like a school with like total head count of maybe 60 people to like a 40-person classroom, being like, you know, it is what it is. I was like one of maybe 3 white kids in the class. Yeah. That was over on the west side there. I think our mutual friend Boo went to the same school. Okay. So it was in the same area he grew up in. And then we moved to the east side a couple years after that. And, you know, I won't say I had the roughest time in school. I'm sure other kids had it rougher, but, you know, it was, you better keep your head on a swivel. Don't run your mouth unnecessarily. Yeah. You know, and some of the worst times was trying to walk home from middle school, because there was the rallies there by the high school. They had rallies out by the high school, and that's where everybody would kind of congregate. And if you walked by there, a lot of times that's where you would catch shit, because they want to take your money, anything you had in your pockets, to try to buy rallies. Yeah. Yeah. You could be up for some rallies.
And so that was exactly. I mean, I could understand Jordans and shit like that. Yeah, but,
they wanted a rally burger and some fries. But he'd be like, bro, we live in the same neighborhood. I'm also broke.
Yeah, exactly. Now, obviously, then, you know, watching Kung Fu, you know, you're like, man, I better know how to fight in this area too. I mean,
so I started before my mom and dad separated, I found my mom found me a martial arts place down in our hometown there in West Virginia. I trained there for a while. I don't know, maybe a year or two before the separation. And I made it, I don't remember why, but I know my sister still has it. I made it into the paper for something, some kind of accomplishment. I don't know if it was like kata or something. Actually, honestly, totally useless to learn to fight. But, you know, for kids, it's good because it's this discipline and learning how to move your body and this stuff. But then I came up here and, yeah, I didn't know how to fight really yet, but you had to fight. And then I started I tried out a lot of different places, dabbled in a lot of different places, training. And honestly, I don't think I really got to a place where I was steady until school was done. Basically done. I was like,
you kind of had to focus on your education more. And
focus on
surviving.
and just being a dumb kid, you know, and just not being disciplined enough to stick to something too. You know what I mean? As much as I loved it, my mom didn't have the means to take me places, like drive me places because she had to work and this, that, and other. And then didn't have money to pay for training, didn't have a vehicle of my own until I was, 16 or so. So until you start driving, you can't get yourself places. And that's around that time is when I started like really just checking out this place. Basically what I was doing is like, oh, you'll let me train for a few weeks for free? Oh, you'll let me train for a few weeks for free?
The introductory deals or whatever. So you want to sign a contract?
I was like bouncing around being the introductory guy for a long time. And then through talking about it and everybody, all the guys that I hung out with, Fatback, his cousin Matt was hanging out with us when I first met Matt. And he's like, oh, you like that stuff? And I was like, yeah, I really want to find somewhere to really train. And I was like, I got a car now, I can get around. And he's like, well, my dad's an instructor.
No.
So Daly, Fatback's uncle, was my first instructor. Well, first serious instructor. I think I trained with him for a decade.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I trained with him for a long time in an art called Hapkido, which has some useful stuff and some useless stuff, to be honest. Like you learn that lesson once you go from that into like a kickboxing and MMA style or jiu-jitsu. There's a lot of crossover in it, but a lot of it was more self-defense and for, beating up a complete neophyte, somebody that just doesn't know anything, And so that was humbling because you go from thinking like, oh, I'm pretty good. Yeah. And then you go and spar around with some guys that are good. And like, wait a minute.
There's more tools I need for this tool.
And then that just drove me to want to keep going and like, all right, I got to learn this. And then even still, it's like, oh, how'd you do that? You teach me that.
Now, during that time when you met Fatback and Matt, were you introduced to them originally in the music scene, or was that outside because they were in the same area too?
Daly and Matt both we all grew up in basically the same neighborhood.
Okay.
They're both like, I think Matt might be like a year or two older than me, and Daly's like 2 or 3 years older than me.
Right.
So they're a little older, but we had some mutual friends, and everybody like just hung out. And then I legitimately had a flop house when I was a kid. So like we had like a 2-family house.
Yeah.
My mom rented a 2-family house, but the upstairs house was not finished.
Okay.
So we just had the whole house. So I had my own entrance, my own living room, 2 bedrooms, but no working bathroom, no working kitchen.
Yeah.
So it just became like a party house, and so everybody would come to my house to hang out. A lot of people, kids being kids, doing, nefarious things while we're partying. And I never got into it, but it was always hilarious to watch these guys, get fuckered up.
Yeah.
And so we all kind of became friends like that. And if Daly sees this, he can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I introduced him to like Mushroomhead and those things, and took him to his first show, or we all went to his first show together, however that works. And then obviously, where he went from there.
Yeah.
With them.
And that's what I was going to say, because I know that we pretty much met at the Mushroomhead shows originally at Peabody's. And I wasn't sure if it was like if his brother Trip had, influenced you guys to that. But how did you get then, like, speaking of Mushroomhead and then the music scene, how did you kind of get
that? Was like a random, there was like a random party at somebody else's house. I think it was at my friend Mary's house, or her parents' house when we were young, obviously. And somebody was just like, oh, you got to check out this band. I don't remember who put it on. And I was like, oh, they're pretty good. And somebody else was, this guy Ray we used to hang out with, was like, oh, well, they're playing in a couple weeks. You want to go check them out? And I was like, yeah, sure. How much is it? And he's like, I don't know, like $10.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
And we went, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is fun. It was just a fun show. Even though I was at the time, and I mean, more into hardcore at the time. I've been to plenty of Spud Monster shows and shit like that, but I hadn't seen them, and I was like, oh, this is just a fun show. It's way different than what I'm normally going to. And then it was like, back then they were playing all the time, so I was like, just go, and it became like,
and it was like a family, it was like you'd see the same faces and the same people there like all the time. But I remember, it's funny, like my first Mushroomhead show was at the time I was like, I don't know if you remember that band Deaf Children at Play.
Yeah.
It's like Mushroomhead and Deaf Children at Play were getting like airplay on MMS for like local support or whatever, blown up. So I was like working with Deaf Children at Play. I became friends with those guys. I was like helping do merch for them, and I was there, at that show working with them it was 107.9 The End.
Yeah.
Did like this
before they went
at the Agora. Yeah. And Deaf Children at Play were on the bill, and then Mushroomhead was the headliner. And this was just after Jerry Garcia died, and JJ came out with the Jerry Garcia mask, and then people were running around with like the Jerry's dead, follow the head signs. I can't
remember my very first show, but I think the second show I went to was actually the Super Buick release party.
Okay.
At the Odeon.
Okay.
It was either my second or third show seeing.
Well, this was before Super Buick. And it was just like Jay comes out and he's got Roxy on a leash, and then I think it was Vanessa, Skinny's original wife, and Jay's in a fur coat, and they're crawling out on a leash. He's got him on a leash. He's coming out, and then there's like smoke, and there's like Elevation, I think, was the opening song or whatever, and then you see Jeff's silhouette with the
devil mask,
the helmet, or the dress, shoulder pads, and the wedding dress, and I was just like, what the?
That's kind of where my head was. What the fuck?
Yeah, and I was just like, and after that, I was like, sorry, with Deaf Children at Play, and I ended up, jumping on the Mushroomhead.
Yeah, now I'm thinking. I think the first time I seen him was at I want to say the ballroom, and just remember them coming out, same kind of idea, like they had the whole stage presence, things going on. And then, obviously as a young kid, when Roxy comes out, you pay attention.
Yeah. Like, my hormones.
You're like a 15, I think
electrical tape on nipples.
Right.
What is this?
I think I'm like 15 or 16 at the time. I'm like, yeah, what is that?
Bronson,
like I'm coming back to this show if only for that.
yeah, exactly. So then that started, like, back in the early days, man, like you were saying, it was like a family. It became like everybody kind of knew everybody, and I was, I'd become friends with those. I think I originally became friends with Jeff, and then started hanging out with those guys, and I remember, like, still there was that mystery, and not everybody knew. It was like the internet hadn't blown up really yet. Nobody knew who was who. So I would hang out with them so much that people thought I was a member. There's a couple shirts out there I signed, like, all right.
I don't remember how I first ended up meeting any of them. Maybe at like maybe at the merch booth or something. Yeah. And somebody told me, and then I had them sign something. I think the first guy I knew who was in the band was Jack. And then I slowly started to get to know them a little better. not as good as some, but I remember going out to their old jam spot that was over on the low, like by the Lakewood
level
Burger
5 or
level,
whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
and like helping make baby dolls and things like that for shows
Yeah.
when they used to hang the mutilated baby dolls up and shred confetti, things like that, and watching Jeff play foosball.
I was hanging with Skinny one night after everybody had left, and he started playing some of the Super Buick songs for me, before it like went in to be finalized. I was hearing some of the early ones, and I remember we were hanging there one time, and there was this drag bar across the street.
Oh yeah,
and he ended up like on their control thing and the mic or whatever.
Yeah,
he was picking up the drag host.
Yeah,
or
it became
whatever.
like a sample or something.
We were like, what is this? And yeah, it became a sample
Yeah.
and stuff. So he started like recording it.
I think he sampled me once. I don't remember if he ever used it live or anything, but he was talking about using it live. And we'll get into whenever we can get into what I was saying, but it was during a peak rivalry.
Okay, yeah.
And I was at the spot, and I was like, I think the whole thing is stolen. And he was like, say that again. Like sample, and he's like, I'm going to use that.
Okay, yeah.
And that was I remember just thinking like it would be as a young guys, like, and them still being like one of like top tier and like riding that line of friend and fan still. I was like, oh, it'd be really sweet if they use that.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like, so that it was eventually at one of those shows, that we met with a bunch of other,
Well, yeah, you just end up knowing everybody that was there at one point. Well, it felt like you knew everybody when you walked in. It was like Cleveland Mushroomhead show was like our version of Cheers.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the good old days. I don't even want to get into where it's at today. I mean, you still love a lot and everybody that's trying to do what they're trying to do, but it just, you kind of hate to see the family like it's going through another divorce almost.
Right. Yeah,
I guess like
that's a good way to put it.
Like, Mom and Dad, can't you guys get along?
It's like I'm obviously like with the new iteration of the band. I've seen them a few times and I enjoy it. It's not the same thing, but it had not been the same thing for a while for me.
Yeah.
Because people stop going, you're not knowing everybody. Some of the members change. But that being said, like for a guy like Steve, who's in the band now, like knowing him from being a fan at the shows together,
being one of us,
and hanging out, and for a lot, there was a portion of time where Steve and I hung out a lot.
Yeah.
Like, and
because then there's other bands we got into and shows we go to.
Right.
And he started playing with
them, and then to see him get to there and knowing that he was to see somebody goes like, how cool is that to see like somebody be like a super fan of a band to be in a position where he's in the front of the stage of the band.
Yeah.
It's like, and I just kind of look at it as like Mushroomhead's like ever evolving. So I try not to hold on to like, I try to hold on to what it once was, but for myself, when I listen to it, I try to think like this is just an evolving organism that Skinny is kind of masterminding, I guess, behind the scenes. And man, Steve does a killer job.
Yeah,
he does a killer job.
Yeah, no, I mean it's cool to see like some of our friends.
But the feel is different when you go now.
But but that old like the old family thing is But anyway, we're not here to give a retrospective of
that's where we met. So it's going to come up.
Yeah. So, but
did you? I don't know if you remember this. You were doing a show. I think it was your suicide prevention show, and me and Steve, and maybe I forget who else. It was me and Steve for sure. Maybe JC. We all went on like 92.3
to promote it,
the show.
Okay.
And I think it was, what was the guy's name? Maybe I want to say Foz, but I could
Foz.
completely. I could be completely wrong.
Back then, yeah. Rest in peace, Foz.
Oh, is he dead?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Well, I pissed him off. I kind of pissed him off over there. I like to talk shit.
Yeah.
That's just what I do. I talk shit, and I talk shit to have fun and just.
I used to piss Foz off too because my anxiety was so bad I'd have to get shit to go on the air. And then they'd have to hit the dump button.
I had him like he was throwing CDs at me and shit. And I think Steve had somebody record it for us on his like a boombox on a cassette tape, however, and and it's lost in the ether now. But that,
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun doing that when we were promoting one of your shows, because my band at the time was playing hit whatever band they were in. They've been in so many, it's hard to keep track.
Yeah, exactly.
They were playing, so we all went up there, and I don't remember the details of how we ended up in that spot, but I remember just laughing like, "Oh, I'm getting on the radio." This is gonna be rough. And that was when like O&A was really popular too, so I was like listening to that a lot. So I'm like, I'm gonna
I was like, this ain't that show.
right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go up here and make a scene.
No, I remember he let me do when I did, I worked with Psycho Mike and Cleveland All Pro, I think it was, or Masters of Mayhem Wrestling, whatever his thing was. JT was Cleveland All Pro. But we were setting up, like the first show that I brought to Peabody was going to be a rock and wrestling show. We were setting up an angle between me and Psycho Mike, where I'm talking shit about Foz is interviewing me to talk about the show, and then I start talking shit about Psycho Mike. Psycho Mike calls in. They bleep out a bunch of shit. It's like he's gonna kill me, blah blah blah. And it was all like, it was all to sell the show. Yeah. And Foz was in on that. I wish I could fucking find that. It was so awesome.
Yeah. Speaking about wrestling, like that just made me think about Ray, bro.
Oh yeah.
We're going from that to where he's at now. That's like super impressive. They was super dedicated to that.
Dude, I gotta get him on sometime too, man.
I mean, he made it up there.
Peabody's bouncer, and
yeah,
stuff like that, cracking skulls.
Yeah, I got some wrestling marks at my work.
Yeah,
and they were talking about one day. I was like, "Oh, my buddy is in there," and they're like, "No." And I was like, "No, yeah." And I told them, well, I fucking just messaged them, I think, on Instagram, and I was like, "See." And they're like, "What the fuck?" Like, how do you know him? And I'm like, "Oh, we used to work together. We were roommates for a while. I don't know if you knew that."
No, I didn't know
he
that.
lived with me at my one house on the east side, over there in the ghetto for I don't know, a couple years maybe when we were younger, working at Peabody's and just having a great time. Neither one of us did a lot of partying, and it was after the flop house days, so it was a little more chill house, but still a hang house. And he lived with me, and we would just, every day you had to be cautious because one of us was fucking with the other one. Like when it was time to wake up or something. Like, he come in, I think one time he was with his girl at the time, and they were laying in his bed, and I kicked his bedroom door open and started throwing sliced cheese at him. And one hit her right in the face. One time he kicked my door in and like hit me in the face with a gallon jug of water. Or no, he caught me as I was walking out of my room and just like looked at me funny and threw a gallon jug of water across the room at me in the face. It's dumb shit like that.
It's like the old Pink Panther movies.
Right.
Remember Kato?
Right.
Inspector Clouseau or whatever. Yeah.
And then we were both broke. And there was some kind of event or something they did with Chipotle at Peabody's. And we ended up with like a stack of like probably 100 of these free burritos.
Yeah. You got to eat for a while.
That's all we ate. We ate Chipotle every day for I don't know how long. It got to the point we would walk in and the Chipotle girls would just start making our orders.
They knew.
They just see us and they just nod.
That's great. Yeah, I didn't know you and Ray worked, or I knew you worked together. I didn't know you guys lived together.
Yeah, we lived together for
one point. I got to go to his first wedding.
Yeah,
that was nice. I wish I got invited to the Viking one, but it was I guess it was out of his hands or whatever. But.
I think his first wedding changed dates or something, and I wasn't able to make it. But that was who I threw the cheese at, his first wife.
Okay, all right. Nice. And then, so in the scene, you're a fan of music, and then, like, when did you start getting into bands yourself?
I think it was like 2001. Somewhere around there, I started doing the first. Well, I guess I've been in a couple bands, but that was the one I was in the longest. Was Takedown, and that was with. Do you remember Gonzo? We called him Gonzo.
So.
Anyway,
I think so.
He was around the scene.
Dollar bill days are still blurred.
Yeah. You were probably hammered every time we were around. But my buddy Gonzo is a drummer, and then my friend Omar, who's
Yeah, Omar was in HRH.
HRH,
Yeah, okay,
and that he was the guitar player, and then my best friend John, who I train with, probably I've trained martial arts with the most. He's a coach too. He was our bass player, and I always wanted to do it, and I started talking to these guys, and we did it, and we had some. We never got anywhere with it because it was like we were kids. We kind of thought we were going to be serious, but not super serious. But the most,
of course, the name Takedown in there, you know.
Right?
Like,
yeah. I picked the name. I don't know if you know, but if you could tell. But one of the best compliments I got in that band was Frank from Ringworm and now Hatebreed.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
We played with Ringworm, and he came to us, and he came to me. He's like, "You guys are really fucking good. You guys could do something."
Nice.
I remember just like Ben Stokes going back to all the guys, like, "Dude, Frank just said,
yeah.
He gave us a compliment, you know." And like at that point, I was like,
Yeah.
as high as you
just hand those out.
No, as high as you could be without drugs, you know. Like this dude is the man, and he just fucking said, he just gave us a big pat on the back. And then just, you know, people's schedules and people not wanting to be super serious about it. Same thing, like, kind of happened when I was in a band for a short time with JC and Rich early.
Yeah, was that the
Fenian?
Yeah. I was going to ask about how that came together, kind of a Peabody type.
I think Rich kind of started that. Because
wasn't Trevor loving that too?
Yep.
Okay.
And I think Rich got those guys together, like the band, like the musicians. I don't call myself a musician. This would be a fucking terrible lie, you know. But he got those guys together, and I just one day he texted me or called or something. It was like, "Hey, I want you to come over and do some vocals for this." And I was just starting to gear up for like MMA competition at the time, so I did say, like, I can't be like super committed because I'm doing this.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun for a while, and then JC came in and we did a few songs. I don't know where to happen the songs. I know we recorded some with Noah.
You guys were doing the double vocal thing,
right?
Because I know JC don't really play any music.
No,
yeah.
But no, he's got other talents. But we had Noah recorded some of our stuff.
Okay.
And
I remember when that was. I think
that was a lot.
That
of fun,
was
though.
going on, though. I think when I got deployed, right? Because I think we talked about you guys doing one of those shows.
Yeah, maybe so.
When it was the going away show or the welcome home show,
I think
something like that.
My favorite show we played with them was it was probably, I think it was called the Spitfire there in Lakewood.
Oh yeah.
And you were in a cage.
Yeah, the cage.
I was like,
yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, you were right at home.
Yeah, it was like
in the cage.
Been in a cage, and then we played the Cove in Geneva and we opened for Mushroomhead there.
Okay.
At a pack show. That was fucking pretty awesome.
Nice.
It was good times. It was a lot of fun, but I don't think anybody ever really, besides JC, he was more serious about music than any of us.
Yeah. That was more, that's always been kind of more his thing. But
music and wrestling.
Yeah. But so you were training MMA around that time. That's when you started getting into the.
Yeah. So when I trained with Daly's uncle up till like 2006, and I trained with him a little bit after that too, but around 2006, I was still training with him. 2007 is when my mom passed, and then I found a place by chance. I had a buddy that trained with me with Daly's uncle, and we went and did some fights, and like we did some sandchow fights in high school in Brunswick, and I wasn't fighting, but I was coaching my teammate for the fight, and I ran into somebody I knew from a Mushroomhead show. My friends Tiff and Ralph, and she came up to me and she was like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And I told her and introduced her to my friend, and they had the fight, and then we were talking, and she was training at a place in Strongsville, Vanyo martial arts.
Yeah, Mark Vanyo.
Yeah.
Right?
So she introduced me to Mark, and
All right.
then Mark invited me out to train with them. And I went out and started training with them a little bit, and fell in love with the differences of the training and training more for what I wanted to do was to fight,
Yeah.
So I fell in love with that, and I trained there for quite a while, and then I fought under the Vanyo fight team every fight I had, and I mean he's still open and operational, and he's a good instructor. I can't take that away from him,
Yeah, I remember. I think he came on my radar when I think Mark Hunter got like connected with him too.
We all went out. I think Mark was there, Hunter, and at one point, actually my first fight, Mark was doing the post-fight stuff.
Okay.
They only ever recorded it, so I don't know why they had him doing it, but
yeah,
Mark was involved with that, and then he came up and trained a couple times. I remember one time we all ended up at dinner once. That was pretty cool. I never knew the guy before that. I knew him from the band, but I didn't know him personally. I really don't know him. I just had that couple interactions with him, but seemed like an all right dude. But
yeah. So then, all right. So then that's when you really got serious about training, fighting.
Yeah, I was insane about it.
And the whole now, so you haven't fought outside of, Vanyo?
No.
Under his? No.
Well, before I met with Vanyo, I did one Sandchild fight, which if you know what Sandchild is, it's like the easiest way that I could say it is it's basically like kickboxing with throws, but there's no ground fighting.
Okay.
So you score your bigger points on your takedowns, but and you don't want your knee to touch the ground because you lose. You don't get as many points. So you want to take the guy down cleanly.
Okay.
I did one of those fights, and then before I met them, and then my buddy did at a different tournament. My buddy did one, and that's how I met him. And but yeah, my MMA fights were under Mark. The kickboxing smokers and stuff like that were under him.
And like I remember, in the scene at Peabody and stuff, I don't recall you ever being much of a partier.
No,
you're always pretty disciplined with. Even when you weren't fighting.
Yeah, I never
living with Ray, obviously, straight edge
but
and stuff there.
Even when I had a party house, I'm not gonna say I never smoked weed. I smoked weed. So really, here's
you would watch the people and be like, I don't want
that. That's not quite what got me out. I had my mom was with this just for ease of conversation, we'll call him my stepdad, even though they were never married. So his son, my stepbrother, was a little older than me. And we would smoke weed together even when I was 13, 14. Okay. And we smoked it often. But he was into other stuff. And one time he came home late at night after drinking. I'm playing video games or something. He's like, hey, you want to smoke a bowl or something? I was like, yeah, why not? So he packs one and we hit it up. I hit it. He hits it. Hands it back to me. I hit it again. I go to pass it back. He's like, nah, I'm good. You go ahead. I'm playing video games, not thinking about it. Next thing I know, I'm feeling really weird.
Okay.
And
that shit was lazy.
Yeah. And I'd smoked plenty of weed, so I knew what that felt like. And I was like, hey man, what the fuck? I'm feeling really weird, what is this? And he's like, it's just, you're cool, And he kept reiterating that I'm cool. And he's like, just go to bed. You'll feel better. And I'm like, so I go to bed, I turn out the lights. I'm staring at this little red dot on a boombox I had in my room. And every time I kind of doze off, I would just jerk awake. My whole body would jerk. I remember this really well because it was an experience. It took me 2 or 3 weeks of just badgering. What the fuck, man? And then I smoked a couple times after that with buddies, but it didn't feel good because I was worried that I was going to feel that way.
Yeah.
And he finally admitted that he had put fucking crack in it. Right. Yeah. Luckily it didn't turn me out and whatever. But as soon as he fucking was well, it was this, and I fucking I cracked him right in the face.
Oh,
I fucking got on top of him, sir. And he's trying to get me off, going, "You're my brother, I love you." And I'm like,
if you fucking love me,
I was like, you tried to fucking turn me out.
It's cool.
I was like, you tried to turn me out, bitch.
Yeah, no shit.
I'll beat you to fucking death right here. So then after that, I just was I can't trust it. This guy is supposed to be my brother. If I can't trust him, then who can I trust?
Yeah, exactly. So then, your addiction picked up as Martial arts. pretty
Yeah,
much?
yeah. Well, yeah, martial arts and food. You know,
Okay, yeah.
and,
That one still kicking my ass.
You know, still kicks my ass, man. You know, even when I was fighting, I ate way more than I should. I just tried to counteract it by being more and more active.
What was
You know?
like when you got serious about fighting, and you know, what was some of your like daily discipline routines? I mean, obviously, if you know, if eating wasn't one of them,
Yeah,
you know,
well, I tried to eat
easy.
better, but I just would eat abundance, right? Like, so like, even if I made like scrambled eggs, it wasn't 2 scrambled eggs. I'm making 12 scrambled eggs,
Okay,
and I'm eating 12 scrambled eggs with
Okay.
cheese and maybe some, this is a lot of
Getting
people
some
get
protein there.
a lot of people get grossed out by this, but I put like 8 to 12 scrambled eggs in a pan and a can of tuna and some cheese and hot sauce, and that would be
Oh,
my meal,
shit.
you know, or
Well, that's a lot of protein.
yeah,
right there, so,
or
you know.
like another. I had like weird. My buddy John, who was training with me to fight at the time too, he was like, you don't eat for any pleasure. He's like, but you eat a lot. Unless it was a cheat meal day, then I would be like, I'm gonna eat a fucking pizza. I'm gonna have a giant milkshake, and I'm gonna pay for this tomorrow. But that's fine, you know. Like,
Yeah.
but that would gross people at work because I'd take a big cup for water, and I just at the beginning of the day I'd put like 2 or 3 packets of plain oatmeal in the water, and I would drink the water. And by the time I got done with the water, it was only like an hour or 2 before work was out. And I knew I needed carbs for the gym. So I would just fucking drink down the fucking cold, fucking plain oatmeal, shit like that. But my habits then were like work, drive straight from work to, I was living in Parma at the time. There was a Fitness 19 over there. I would drive straight to work to Fitness 19. I'd spend maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours there every day after work. Go home, I'd shower, take like a 45-minute nap, get up and go to Vanyo's and do whatever fight training we had for the night for 2 or 3 hours there.
Yeah.
And I would just do that every day. And when I would, I'd go there and lift and run at the gym, and then I'd go do kickboxing, and then we would do like MMA training, or he would put together some kind of like, all right, you're going to do this tonight for conditioning. And be some kind of grueling cardio workout that we would just have to do.
Yeah.
And I would just do that. I mean, every day. And then Saturdays, if I didn't work, I'd just get up and I'd spend 4 or 5 hours at the gym. And just train. And then leave the gym, go pick my kid up, my oldest boy when he was little. We'd kick it. And then I was living close to his mom. So in the evenings, he would just come over, or I'd just walk over again. We lived in the same apartment complex, just not the same apartment. So it was like, that's ease of access to like just what are you guys doing? Nothing? Cool. Like,
and that was cool that you guys got along good enough for your son and everything.
Yeah, we had
part,
man, we had some contentious times at the beginning of our split, but I'm thankful now that her and I got to a point where like we're not chit-chatting every day, but we're cool. We can have a cool conversation. There's been times she's like been working out and she'll be like, hey, I need some advice on this or that. I'll just give it to her. Right? Like, and you know, that's my kid's mom. I you know, if she's trying to make herself better or feel better or work out or this, that, and other, like I want to help her because that just benefits my kid too. You know?
It's exactly. Healthier if your mom's healthier, it's better for your son and everything too.
So I've been fortunate.
That during that time period, then I mean, you're proud. You know, it was like, okay, well, if I have to miss some shows, you know, I wasn't. You weren't a regular at Peabody's then. You were focused on
at that point, I started to like not show up, not go to the shows as much because it was like, well, if I go to the show, I'm gonna be up till 2 or 3 in the morning. Training's gonna be fucking wrecked tomorrow. I'm not gonna be able to do it as well, and somebody else is not doing that and training, you know,
and I'm gonna be matched against that person.
Because when I would get ready for fights, I would always imagine like I'm fighting Ivan Drago.
Yeah,
you know, like it became such a staple that like when me and my training partner John would be like running together or doing stuff at the gym, if one of us started getting tired, we would just be like Drago, try to get amped back up. And we had the whole fight team at Vanyo's would start chanting "Never tired," and somebody started to get tired, and like not be keeping up, but never tired.
Nice. And then okay, so you went on. You had what was like your fighting record like?
I did I did 3 kickboxing smokers, which are like unsanctioned fights. I didn't lose any of those. I did 2 MMA fights. I lost my first one to judge's decision, which is hard on the ego, And then I won my second one by referee TKO stoppage in the second round.
Yeah, you never want to leave it to the judge.
No.
That's what they always
Yeah,
say.
what I'll take away from that is the dude I fought after we walked out, he collapsed to a knee, and I seen him at a bar afterwards, and we were talking. He's like, "Yeah, you kick so hard," and I was stomping his feet, and he told in the fight I was doing toe stomps and foot stomps, and he's like, "They didn't really bother me in there." He's like, "But man, my feet are wrecked right now," and I was just more ego bruised than anything, I got up the next morning, went to the gym and trained. I was so mad.
And then as that, I mean, that was, when was your last fight?
2010. I think it was in September 2010, and then that's around the time I started dating my now ex-wife, and I had another fight scheduled sometime like maybe 5 or 6 months after that. I don't know if this is true. I don't even remember the guy's name, but the matchmaker called me and said, "Hey, your opponent got into a car accident and broke his back. We're going to have to cancel the fight or whatever." And I remember asking, I'm like, well, "Where's he at?" Like, because, you come from this, it's like after my last fight, to kind of put it, and I know you probably know this, but you put it in perspective. After my last fight, me, just like my first fight, I hung out with those guys. After my last fight, I remember being in line to get a drink with him at the stadium.
Mutual respect.
And a guy in line turned around looking at us like double taking, like, "Didn't you guys just fight?"
Kill each other?
And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "No, but I mean each other." And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Now you're just hanging out." I was like, "I just met the guy." Like, I don't know. I had no bad feelings. Like, we just shared like an experience. Like, I want to have a drink with him, But so when I heard that guy, I tried to get his information because I was gonna go visit him. Like, all right, this is a guy that was training to be a warrior. Or I want to go give him some respect, but they wouldn't give me. They're like, "Oh, we're not allowed to give you that." I don't know if that's true.
I mean, it could be like a HIPAA thing,
right? But I was like, but yeah, I wanted to go.
Like, dude, don't go fuck him up in the hospital.
No, I just wanted to.
This ain't WWE. Man. I ain't gonna hit him with the head.
No, I wanted to go like, "Hey, man, I hope you fucking feel better. I hope this works out and you can heal up and you can get back to it." But they were like, "We can't give you his information, or maybe we don't have the information." But so that was in 2010. That was
going to be the last fight.
Well, that was just the last one I had scheduled. Then I was with her and I was still training, and I moved out to Minter. And I was driving from Minter to Strongsville to train, which was, to me, was not an issue because I was like, I got to train, and that's my gym. But then I got her pregnant and my second kid on the way.
Okay.
And then
you couldn't be away as long.
Right. Well, especially once she had him, right? When she was pregnant, it was still cool and whatnot, but time goes fast and nothing came up. And I got stuck on working a ton of overtime. I was supposed to do a kickboxing fight in Akron, and I got hammered. I was working like 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, and 10s on Saturdays. So my best friend actually took my spot because I was like, "Hey man, I can't train the way I'm supposed to be." This was before the baby was born. I was like, work is just too much right now, and fighting wasn't paying the bills. Work pays the bills. And so he took my spot and ended up knocking the guy out, which was really cool to see. And but yeah, then my second boy was born, and it was like can't train like I want to train if I'm going to fight, because I don't want to go in there and have any like, "Oh, I should have trained harder," or "I should have done this." I don't want any of that. I go in there and be like, you get smoked, it happens. You get submitted, it happens. But you go in there and get tired, that's your fault. That's your fault.
When was you were doing like what kickboxing and a lot of the MMA stuff with Vanyo, but
Right.
when did like jiu-jitsu come?
Yeah.
in?
So when I did after my second fight, because I only did like a little bit of grappling with Vanyo. There's a guy, he still coaches today. I would still take instruction from him if he was around. If we're ever together, I still ask him questions. His name's Marvin Williams. He was a jiu-jitsu coach at Vanyo's, but he was for MMA, and he wasn't there a lot, right?
Yeah.
So, but
So
after
when he was there, you wanted to
yeah, so I tried to dig
take
in,
notes.
and then, but after my last MMA fight, even though I won on the ground, I've said this to Marv, and I'll say it to anybody. I go every once in a while, I'll watch the fight back and like think like I can kick my own ass now, right? But there was points in the fight where he was telling me to do things being my corner man, because he was my corner man, him and Vanyo, that I had just, it was like he had a video game controller in his hand, and I was the character, and he was telling me things, and I just did them and worked through it. But after the fight, we had a lot of discussion. It's like, you need more jiu-jitsu. Well, when I moved out to the Minner area, he would go out there sometimes to train with some jiu-jitsu guys, and he invited me out to do an open mat.
All right.
And so I went to the open mat, just grappling, and just got toyed with by guys that knew jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you're right. I need to learn jiu-jitsu. So they were a mentor place, so they're close. So it's like I started supplementing some of my time at Vanyo's by going there because I wanted to focus on the grappling. And then once the kid was born, it was just way hard to get to Vanyo's.
Yeah.
So
that place was closer.
yeah. So I just started focusing on there, and they didn't have any. It was I was doing the jiu-jitsu, but it was inside like a karate studio. And then they found out that I did kickboxing. So they started asking me to start coaching a little bit of kickboxing classes.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask next, like when the transition to coaching.
Yeah, so I started coaching. Well, I helped coach at Vanyo's a lot because he knew I had background. And, I doubt he'll ever see this, but not to put him on, like, piss off any of his former students. But I came there, he never charged me a dime. And I basically started helping by teaching the things I knew. Like, he didn't have anybody doing throws or takedowns or any of that. So I started doing like that kind of coaching for him.
That's how you paid.
And that's paid back by doing that. Yeah. And then as I gained my skill, grew pretty fast and with him under the kickboxing. So then me and as well as my friend John, we started doing like once or twice a week we would coach a class for him, just coach a whole kickboxing class. And so that was just like kind of like I'm not working, we're trading, right?
Yeah,
I guess
the barter.
Yeah, the barter system. Like if you do this for me, you can train here and use my facility. You also have me to bounce ideas off of, get technique from, get coaching from. Yeah. So, but then when it became too hard, I started focusing more on jiu-jitsu, and then they asked me to do kickboxing.
And Mark, you talked to Mark, and he understood.
Well,
that you couldn't.
The thing, it's good because I don't want to overlook that. So, after the kid was born, Mark had moved his gym, and he wanted to do like.
Did he move even farther down to?
Yeah, he moved a little further in Strong. He's like on
the,
I think it's like the Strongsville, Medina border area, and which whatever. But he wanted to start morning classes, and I was working second shift at the time, and I didn't know how long, I was in a union shop, so you never know. Yeah. Shit changes if somebody pushes you out. But I was like, I'll teach your morning classes, and there was like, but I got to make this drive. And then I had to come back at night to train for myself. Like, and it was supposed to be like not any kind of big money, like basically cover gas and maybe lunch.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But then and another guy was taking over the nights because I wouldn't be able to be there those same nights. And because I was working second shift. And then my schedule got flipped back to first shift. And the dude that was doing nights was like, well, I'd rather do days anyway. So we were just going to flip. But then Mark was like, those are free classes. And I kind of understood that. But then somebody else was opening a gym, and they offered me a paid position, coaching.
All right.
So I was like, yeah.
And it was closer to you too?
No, but it was paid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I started coaching there, and then at the karate place. you know, but they were paying me to come out because it was a drive. It was actually in North Ridgeville,
Okay.
like Albion Road in 83.
What was the name of that place?
Warriors Pride.
Okay.
It was right there in North Ridgeville. So it was a girl and her boyfriend that opened it. I think she was only the finance,
Yeah.
she helped run it, but she was like, he didn't have any.
Yeah, handling the books.
Yeah, she was that. So she started paying me and my buddy John to come out and coach to try to get this place going. And starting a business is tough.
Yeah.
It didn't work out for her. So then I just continued to coach in the karate school and train jiu-jitsu with them. And then the guy I was training under in jiu-jitsu at the time ended up like, it kind of switched because he was taking up he was like using space from the karate school to do jiu-jitsu. Then he decided to get a bigger building and then give the karate guys space. So like they kind of traded roles, and I still continue to coach kickboxing under it, with all the same people with inside his gym for
And
a
this
while.
was the place out in Menor.
Yeah, it was
Right?
right off the highway on 306. Actually, where my new gym is now. Like it was literally in the unit next door.
Oh, okay.
So we just moved we moved our gym recently, and we're in the unit next door to where that used to be. And trained there for a while, but me and him had a falling out. And then he also had a falling out with the guy that was his black belt. So me and his black belt, is Neto, is his name, Neto Gomez, became closer. I started my own jiu-jitsu and kickboxing program for a while inside this fitness facility called AIM Performance out there. Great facility, great coaches. They focus on like sports. Like they're very, like if you wanted to go get in shape for baseball or powerlifting or whatever,
Okay.
they're like more
Yeah,
catered. They're not just like, that's it. You can go in there and just get a lift by yourself, but if you wanted some real coaching, you could get that.
sports conditioning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I started my own program inside there. I want to say in 2017 or 18. I think it was late 2017. And that grew up pretty big for a while, and then the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
But right as I was starting that, my friend Tim, who owns King's Combat Training, where I train now and coach out of now, he was just opening his gym, and I didn't know about it. And we got to talking, and he was like, "Oh man, that sucks. I was going to ask you to come here and coach with me." And I was like, "Oh fuck," because once I commit to something,
Yeah.
I don't want to back out, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, "Man,
you weren't really backing out. We were all put on timeout.
Right.
You didn't have a choice.
Well, this was pre-COVID,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So he's opening up pre-COVID, and I'm starting my own thing inside this fitness facility, basically at the same time, like 2017 area, right?
Yeah.
But I made like a Facebook post needing a pressure washer. I was going to do some stuff around the house, and he messaged me like, "Hey, I got one you can borrow." And he's like, "Meet me here," and I went, and it was the gym we just moved out of.
Okay.
I was like, and he's just building it. I was like, "Damn, this is nice," And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I was gonna actually reach out and ask you to coach with me." I was like, "Fuck, man, I just committed to this place. I'm gonna have a thing there." I was like, "I would have loved to," and there was never any weirdness. We're friends. And
Yeah, he understood when you give your word to
Right.
something too. There's that honor thing in the fighting world,
Right.
at least with the majority.
Right.
Of them.
Yeah, some are not.
Yeah.
But so we both had our own thing going on, and then COVID hit, and it kind of like rocked everybody. And so at that time, I just reached out to him like, "Hey, still want me to, would you still like me to come coach striking?" Because he's a jiu-jitsu guy. Like I do jiu-jitsu. Tim's really good at jiu-jitsu. Really good at jiu-jitsu. Yeah, and I help him with the jiu-jitsu classes, but he was looking for a striking person. I was like, "Come teach kickboxing for you?" And he's like, "Fuck yeah, let's go."
Nice.
And now it's been like 4 or 5 years of us coaching together and moving the gym and building it up, and it's going pretty well. And we got a really nice facility now.
And that's still, I mean, like the side job,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. My main job is still welding and building
Okay, yeah.
big toolboxes for trucks.
Yeah. But so yeah, but I mean, because of your discipline and training, it opened
It opened doors.
for
Yeah. And
making
then,
more money in something you actually love, other
Right.
than, you know.
and then I got my oldest kid got into it for a while before he left for the Marine Corps. He came and trained with us for about a year and a half, 2 years, came to live with me, train.
And it had to be good getting them ready for the Marine Corps boot camp.
And it was just great,
You know?
like sharing the mat with him. Like,
Yeah.
I don't watch any other sports. I don't watch football. I've never watched a whole football game in
Yeah.
my
I'm
entire life.
not really.
I never watched. I've been to a couple Indians games when I was kids.
Yeah.
Indians games
Yeah,
when
yeah.
I was a kid, and but I was just there because it was fun, and like a buddy's dad got us tickets. Like, I didn't care. It wasn't paying attention to the game. We're running around the stadium just being kids.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's all I'm ever into. So I imagine though, if you're into one of those, it'd be like playing baseball with your kid or football. It just felt amazing to share the mat with my kid, teach him, watch him learn, watch him get better. And,
Like when my daughter got into jiu-jitsu.
yeah,
You know, it was just like, I knew I was a hobbyist, and I wasn't going to be like competing
Right.
and shit like that. But, you know, to watch her compete,
Right.
you
It's
know,
amazing.
get out there.
Yeah.
And, you know, both of us got our first stripe together and
Right.
all that stuff. And it was just like,
Yeah, I can see
know.
like something like that would be like, that's a core memory. That's a lifetime thing.
yeah.
Yeah, my kid did a couple of jiu-jitsu competitions, and you know, to corner him while he's doing it and stuff was
That's awesome, man.
just like really awesome. And now my younger two started training and share, you know, being on the mat with them, and like, you know, they're doing a little bit of boxing with us too. So it's like to hold mitts and have them punching the mitts and just getting into it. I can't describe how fucking awesome it is. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah. Now, when Ben, right,
Yeah.
your oldest, when he told you you know, that he was gonna go into the Marines, what was that like?
oh, I was proud of him. But so here, I told Ben something when he was probably 13, 12, 13. I said to him a lot of times through life, but I think the first time he was around that age. Say the same thing to my now 13-year-old. Sorry about your lot in life. You got a blue collar dad. I can't pay for you to go to college. Right? So you have really three options as far as I see it. Because you're not going to be a basement dweller and do nothing. Right? You're going to contribute to society. Your options are kill it in school and get a scholarship, because loans are fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Right? So kill it in school and get a scholarship so you don't have to pay for school. Go into the trades or go to the military. And the first time I said that to my kid, he sat and looked at me for a minute, and my oldest boy, he thought for a second, he was like, I'm in the military. I was like, so be it. And he never changed his mind. He lived with me for about 2 years and trained. He worked at my job for a little bit as like a not a skilled labor, but just a labor type work just to make money. Saved up some money and didn't have, you know, he was living with me, so he didn't have bills. And then he left and went to the Marines, and he's loving it, you know.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love
but-
seeing the posts
But yeah,
that you make. Was did Rich Early have any kind of influence on that?
we did call Rich because
Yeah.
like I have tons of respect for Rich. He's one of, you know, even when we don't get to talk as much as we used to, I consider him one of my better friends in life, and
Yeah.
and who better to ask because
Then an actual Marine.
the National Marine and Rich, because one, I know Rich cares about me and he cares about my kid, and two,
Yeah.
Rich doesn't bullshit.
Yeah.
He's
He's
gonna-
not going to be the recruiter.
And he's not, yeah, he's not
Some
going to be a
shit,
recruiter,
yeah.
and he's going to tell you
What sucks about it too.
what sucks, what's good. He's not going to spare feelings about it.
Yeah.
He's going to be very direct, and
Yeah.
that's what I wanted my son to hear. And they talked a little bit, and I talked to Rich about it, and I still mention things to Rich here and there, and you know, about it. But so then my boy goes off to boot camp, and you know, you don't get to talk to him for a while.
Yeah.
and I'm not sure if they do the same thing in the Navy, but I imagine they all kind of do something similar with differences. But at the end, he got to call home and like,
Yeah.
hey, this is what I achieved. This is what I did. Da, da, da. So he's going through all these things, and I can't remember all of them, but like, you know, he's kind of been blasé. Like, I got marks, man. I got this. I got a good score on my PT.
Yeah.
And he goes, but then he just gets real serious. He's like, but Dad, I need you to know I am 7-0 on Paris Island because they had to fight.
No shit.
He's like, like that was the one that he's like, hey, I got marksman, I got this, but I need you to know I am 7-0.
Nice. Nice.
I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome.
But, you know, made my pride and my head swell.
Yeah. Now, you know, we talked about, you know, being proud dads and, you know, that experience of sharing stuff.
Nothing better. Man.
Yeah. Like, what, I mean, you know, you talked about like your childhood, you know, your mom was a single mom for a while.
Yeah.
And you had
stepdad.
And David Carradine was basically kind of raising you.
Yeah. My dad
man.
was like, he was an alcoholic. He was abusive. Really more so than my mom. We left my mom and dad. I'm the youngest of 5. Okay. There's a 16-year age gap between me and the next.
Okay.
Right. So I was an oops.
And that's the West Virginia family?
Yeah.
All right.
So my sister's down there. I have 2 brothers. Both are dead now. One was killed before I was ever born. He was shot and killed before I was born. Down there. My other brother died at the beginning of 2020. Also a drug addict. He got on drugs. He was a drug addict on and off again. My oldest sister is probably like, I don't know her exact age to be honest, but probably like 65 now, you know? So she has been, she's basically like ghost mode after my dad passed. But my mom finally left my dad one night. He got on her and was beating on her and shit. And she's like, we got to go. And we lived on the top of a mountain down there. We had a lot of property, a big field. She's like, we got to go. And she grabbed me. We started running. We got it out the door, across our driveway, and into the field, heading towards the woods. And he started shooting at us. And that's when she finally, after like 30 years of him whooping on her and stuff,
yeah,
that's when she finally just said, no, you know, I'm going to go up to Cleveland with my mom. Because all of my family's sides, my dad's sides, my mom's sides, were all from like the West Virginia area. But then during the automotive bang, I had several uncles that walked from West Virginia to Cleveland to get jobs.
Wow.
Yeah. So then they got working, and then they moved my grandmother up, and then.
Now, what I was going to ask though too is like, I mean, as you said, when Ben was born originally, you were like, "There's no way my kids are going like this,
and no way he's gonna have a dad like mine."
yeah. So that was already, you were already like, I'm determined to break whatever family cycle.
Yeah, you got to break the cycle.
This was, you know, because I mean, I'm sure your dad probably grew up under same.
Yeah. I never met my grandfather on my dad's side, but I hear he was a real piece of shit.
Yeah. So I mean, you were determined to do that. What did you from Ben to now your boys now?
Grayson and Maverick? Yeah, my 13-year-old and 9-year-old.
What have what's changed or what have you learned along the way being a dad?
Oh, I learned I've learned a lot, right? But I think the big thing is be very patient. Remember their kids. Remember the worst thing that's happened to them is the worst thing that's happened to them. It could be spilling a glass of milk. It could be breaking their favorite toy. You know what I mean? They don't know yet. They don't have the experiences that we have. Yeah. So the worst thing that happened is the worst thing that's happened. Right? You might think this is not a big deal, but to them, it's the end of the world. Like them breaking their favorite toy could be like you wrecking your fucking car. Yeah. Right? Like it's going to stress them out. They're, you know, and I forget where I heard this. It's not mine. I wish I could say where I heard it. Probably on a podcast because I listen to a lot of podcasts. But it's also like, think about if things had changed, right? And something tragic happened, right? And we know none of us want to think about that, but like if something happened, and even though this is a real hard day with your kid, they're being difficult. Maybe maybe they're upset over something that you think is small, whatever it may be. Just an aggravating fucking day. We all have them with kids and significant others. This could go for girlfriends, wives too. But imagine after that event, something happened and they were no longer around. And then sometime in the future, you got the ability to travel back. But that was the only day you could go to, that aggravating day. But how thankful would you be
just to
have that fucking day?
Yeah.
So treat that like that. And like, I really wish I could remember where that came from, but it really like kind of punched me in the face. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's punching me in the face right now.
And I was like, well, yeah, because it really helped, even though I feel I'm a pretty patient guy in general, and I like to teach my kids and coach my kids rather than discipline them like in the old school ways. Like, I don't need to knock my kids around to get a point across. You just talk to them, and you might have to talk to them 10 times, but they're kids; they don't know.
Yeah,
but they will learn if you have to stay on it. If you give up, then kids will be wild.
Yeah,
But that really was like made me even more so. Like even if I start to feel a little bit of like annoyance, I'm like,
dude, I
like let's think about this. Like,
I mean, I was raised by a World War II Marine dad. It was a much different time, so he'd have his bad days. He loved me and he tried to teach me a lot, but it was like there's times I got my ass kicked. I'm telling myself I deserved that ass kicking for some of the dumb things I did as a kid, but did I?
Right. Like some things.
And, then I have girls. I can't kick their asses, which is not the proper way.
No, you don't need
boys
to.
Anyway.
It's one thing.
But I would yell like an asshole and just like, thinking that would, there's so many mistakes that I have made, and now it's like I'm getting like, I'm in this relationship with this woman that's, 20 years younger than me. She's got a daughter that just turned 7 and her son's going to be 12 in August. And it's like, I'm like, I get annoyed with certain things and I'm like, what's the big, but you just hit me with like, this is a second chance to do it better. And that's some good, deep
you got
stuff that I can take into this relationship because I look, not to put her stuff out there, but it's just like, the son's dad wasn't a good person. He's no longer around.
Right.
So he had a stepdad or, who I don't think is a good person either.
Right.
And so he's not had stability. And then I come along, and I'm trying,
Well, here's your chance, right? Because like,
and with the daughter too, it's like I'm like you treat her like a damn princess. You gotta like get her ready for the real world. I'm like, do we?
Yeah.
I mean, the real world sucks. The real world's gonna come along.
I never raised a girl, so I don't know.
Yeah.
My girlfriend now has a daughter, and I do my best just to treat her just like I would my kids. When I'm around her, if I see her doing something that I think is improper, I'm gonna correct it.
Yeah.
But I just go like, hey,
you can do it.
But this is
just talking.
Yeah, the same way I do my kids. Like, hey, knock it off. We don't do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's enough. Now she also has an older son who just went to the Air Force. He graduated Air Force boot camp, and then he just finished his tech school. And he's an awesome kid, right? And he was a little overweight. And not putting him on blast is nothing I wouldn't say to him or haven't said to him. And he needed to get down to even leave to go to the Air Force, right?
Leave,
So he doesn't have, his dad is around a little bit, but not a ton. And I met his dad. He seems like an okay guy. I don't have anything ill to say about his dad, but they live kind of far apart and just, it is what it is, right? So he didn't have a lot of influence. So he needed to get in shape. So he came and stayed with me for I think 2 months. I took him to the gym every day,
Nice.
put him through workouts. I took him, got him down like 20 pounds in like 2 months. He went to the Air Force, got through boot camp, got through that, and now he's on a career in the Air Force.
Nice.
Right? And I'm not saying that to toot my own horn, but I'm saying that if she has a little boy, and if the dad isn't able or isn't a good person or whatever, doesn't want to be an influence in that kid's life, if you're going to be in her life, then you have to.
Yeah.
You have to. And you have to think about what standards you want to set. Right? And it's like,
Yeah, for a while, dude, I was battling that because I'm still a selfish, self-centered person.
yeah, it's
You know, I
hard.
battle that every day. You know, I'm like, I did the dad thing.
Yeah, but
My girls are growing up. Get them out. It's time for me to like follow Sasha to Thailand and, to get the hell out and do whatever, not have a care in the freaking world.
nah, yeah.
But then it's like, when I talk to some of my recovery brothers, and they point out what opportunity I have here
Right.
now to be of service,
Yeah.
to give this kid a stable
Right.
life, to be a good influence, and
Well, here, like, look, single dude, you go to Thailand or whatever, and that's your life. That probably would be fun. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
but it's a temporary thing,
yeah.
right?
It's like, I could say, yeah, I already did the parenting thing, but it's like, are you ever off the clock?
No.
I mean, both of my daughters, they're adults now, but they're still going to be dad.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
So it's like-
my boy's in the Marines. He still calls me and talks to me, and
Yeah,
here and there he'll ask for advice. But I talk to him. I've always kind of talked to my kids like they're little adults, right? And just kind of curve it just enough to be age appropriate. But I talk to my son now like I'm talking to you, like.
yeah. He's
He's
a Marine.
You're
now.
a Marine. You're a man.
Yeah.
Like you're
He's probably dropping some bombs.
Yeah,
on
like you're
you,
making your own money.
right.
Well, he's got the same kind of sense of humor I got, which is usually pretty fucking fucked up. And so we can joke with each other and have a good time. But also, I will, if I need to, I'll still call him if I think he's doing something dumb.
Yeah,
Which thankfully he's not. But like he knows that.
yeah, because he's got a bunch of Marine
Yeah,
daddies now
yeah,
too.
but he
He's not
knows
doing dumb shit.
he knows that. Like I forget exactly what brand it was, but it was like a Zen or something like that.
Okay.
And he was still under 21 when he had some, and they found him or some shit like that, and they made him take a bunch, at
Oh,
once.
Yeah, get sick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I was like,
okay.
well, I mean, you rolled the dice, man. You knew you weren't supposed to be doing it,
Yeah,
And he's like, and he doesn't fucking complain. He's like, yeah.
yeah.
He's like,
I threw up, and I'm like, learn
he's
to
like, it is what it is.
learn. Yeah.
And that's kind of what I try to teach my kids is like, you're going to make choices. Some of them aren't going to be great. That's something you need to think through. And you need to think, are the consequences worth it? Right?
Yeah.
Are the consequences worth this bad choice or this maybe not so good choice, But, as far as like being in the kid's life, if you plan on being with this woman and around her kids for indefinitely or for the rest of your life, then yeah, you have to take that. And what I don't know. Sure, people have different opinions on this, but to me, what's better, going to Thailand or whatever? I'm not knocking on Sasha. I love the guy. I'm glad he's having a good time, but just doing frivolous things, right?
Yeah.
To me, people think like building a legacy always means like being fucking James Hetfield or being these guys that are like known throughout the world. Yeah, that too, right? But you can also build a legacy by having your way of life and your thoughts and your morals and your code carried on through your bloodline or people you take under your wing through them. That builds a legacy. That's how you live forever.
Well, I mean, my intentions are to marry her and take her kids on.
Right. Well, then
they'll be Baileys.
Right. So then that's your boy.
Yeah.
So you have to treat it as such. Will there be maybe some growing pains? Because
we already have a little bit of differing parenting styles, but I need to work. I obviously need to bring mine up to today's date too,
Well, you need to.
But at the
you
same
guys got to
time,
sit
it's
down.
like,
You guys need to have. I'm not saying what you guys need to do. This is
Yeah.
what I would say. This is what I did with the girl I'm with now. Awesome chick, right? But I said, this is how I handle things.
yeah,
And I need to know that, I'm never going to like be physical with kids. Like, this is not my thing. But I also wanted to know and put it out there right away once we started getting serious. Like, if your kids are around and they're not doing such and such, I'm going to speak up.
yeah,
I'm going to say something. I'm going to correct that. Are you okay with this? And she was like, yeah. She's like, as long as you're not being abusive or, these kind of things. And I was like, of course not. Yeah. But she's like, but yeah. So you have to find out whatever the standard is. And then maybe if you have differences, try to find some kind of common ground. You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
as the man in his life, you're going to have to teach him manly things.
and they don't know what they don't know. She, has come through her own stuff.
Right.
You
They don't know anybody's story.
She's doing pretty, the best she can with where she's at in life,
Right.
but she's got such a loving, caregiving, heart,
Right.
and sometimes I feel like, she tries to maybe overcompensate for her childhood with her daughter, but it's, regardless, it's like, I need to, I mean, that advice you said, that's the biggest thing that she experienced right now,
Right.
and I don't think it's a big deal.
Right.
Like, I mean, my daughters,
Them too.
they're a woman, this is their first time experiencing some shit stuff.
Right.
And I'm just like, get over it. That's not,
No.
Yeah.
You gotta,
that's a huge lesson to learn and
use
hopefully
it.
take into, going forward with my kids. And like you were saying,
bank on your experience, right? And then like, okay, I understand this is a big deal to you, and but then try to find something that you can kind of relate to that and use it as a coachable moment. Like,
Yeah.
but look, it'll be okay.
It's the coaching.
Yeah,
too,
exactly. We'll figure it out. This is a lesson to learn from it. This happened because X happened because you did this. So take the lesson. Let's avoid doing this so that doesn't happen again, or whatever it may be. It's not the end of the world. It's like my other boys are still younger, so it's like, my kid, a few weeks back, my kid dropped a plate and broke it. I took the garbage out or something, came back in, and I seen him like cleaning something. I was like, what happened? And he looked like nervous, you know what I mean? Yeah, a little deer in headlights. And he's like, I broke a plate. And I was like, oh. Well, get out of the kitchen with your shoes on, or with no shoes on. Grab your shoes and put them on so you don't get glass in your feet, and just do your best to clean it up so the dog doesn't get glass. And he was like, and I was like, it's just a fucking plate.
Yeah.
But it was the first dish he broke.
Yeah.
He's 13. It was the first dish he broke, so he didn't know how I was going to, he didn't know how to react and how I was going to react, but he's already cleaning it up. I'm like, you're already cleaning it up. Half of what you need to do is done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Half of what I would have expected out of you, you're already doing. The other thing would just be safe. Be safe while you're cleaning it up. Like,
Yeah.
fucking shit gets broke.
Yeah.
Big deal.
Yeah, dude. I mean, we definitely should do a whole nother episode with dad advice from, shit, because it's just like, it's funny, like, I mean, I know I could come to you, like, I mean, I'm 52, not to make any excuses.
No.
There's old dudes out there still killing it, doing stuff.
Right.
I mean, I was doing good for a little while, or at least good for me. And then, I get in this relationship and I'm lack of discipline on my end.
Well,
I kind of go backwards a little bit.
Not to be crude, but sometimes, you get that good at home.
Yeah,
and you're like, yeah. Well, yeah. Why do I go to the gym, or I can stay home and play with this?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, what the hell was I going to say?
You're saying you could come to me, or whatever.
Yeah, I can come to you and learn, kickboxing still,
right.
Or I can learn fighting, but I love learning, parenting advice from fathering advice from fellow dads.
Well, yeah, I mean,
and
you get,
because that's, when you talk, like you said, what can our legacy be, and dude, I interviewed Tim Misney on here, and when I asked him the question about his legacy, his first thing was to be known as being a good dad.
Right. That's what it
You
should
know?
be. There should be
Just like-
nothing more important.
Yeah, you know, so it's just like, and that dude, you know, got Disneyland and
Yeah.
everything else, but
Yeah. I
you
mean,
know,
obviously he's a super successful guy, but
yeah,
there should be nothing more important than being a good dad.
yeah,
And it's not fucking easy. And if you haven't had a kid first, you got to remember, just like the kids, this is the worst thing that's ever happened, right?
yeah,
This is your first time being a dad. So you're learning as you go. And all you can do is try to talk to other people, study. I don't know. Maybe this is just me thinking in the moment. But I think trying to have a good moral compass and what you think life is about in your own mind, right? Everybody has slight differences of opinion or maybe major differences of opinion, but that should guide you on how you parent, right?
yeah,
And if guys like my dad, or maybe my dad just had problems because he was, now that I'm older and I can reflect a little bit, maybe my dad just had problems and then he drunk and it made him worse. I'm not making excuses for the guy,
yeah,
but now that I know more about the human brain and human body from listening to podcasts and reading and stuff, like maybe he doesn't have the right tools in his toolbox or had the wrong tools in his toolbox.
yeah,
But if you don't have people that are immoral are going to treat their kids immorally, you just got to think about what you want, how you want your kids to behave, and do not accept anything less than that. And that doesn't mean you have to whoop on them. Just
yeah.
correct behavior, take things away. There's got to be consequences.
Like my dad was a good man, you know. He had a good. He had. There was a lot of good things I learned from, a lot of great advice and teaching. It just when I look, it took me getting older and going into the military myself, and just getting maybe a small sliver of a taste of what he experienced. Right. And when he came home and still had to deal with, but not just that, like when I heard about his childhood and he was trying to break the cycle that he came from, but it was a different time,
right.
Well,
some things were way more.
He did the best he could with what he had. But anyway, like my last few years of sobriety before my dad passed away, it was just like, dude, it was just like I had the best relationship with him. Right. I got the blessing that I want. I've seeked my entire life from my dad. And when he passed, it was just like I felt I miss my dad, but it was like I was at peace completely with our relationship.
That's cool. I'm happy you got that. Like when my dad died, my sister called me to tell me he died. My one that's in West Virginia, like they had. My sister's a religious woman, right?
Yeah.
Like, not to go down that road, but like her and her husband actually have their own church. He's the pastor, she's his wife,
Okay.
So she went through all the forgiveness with my dad, and
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know him later in life, but I guess he had quit drinking.
Yeah.
He did. I invited him to my wedding because she suggested I did, and I love my sister to the moon and back. And I don't want to upset her, so I invited him. He came. He was very polite, had a nice time. Told me, that he was proud of how I had done and this, that, and other. And don't get me wrong, nice to hear.
Yeah.
But it didn't really heal everything. So when she called and said he died, I told her, I was like, well, I'm sorry for your loss.
Yeah.
And she was like, I wish you wouldn't say that. And I was like, it
Yeah.
is what it is,
I mean,
I'll be there to support you through it. But
you went through the fight, running through the field, being shot at.
right.
Phase, so that's a little bit.
And other memories that she told me about that I didn't remember, like hiding in closets at her house while he's there looking for me, telling her I'm gonna kill him when I find him.
No shit.
Shit like that. But and I had still don't remember him, but she told me about him.
Mm.
And but when my dad, I don't know if she convinced him or if he did it on his own. He probably did it on his own, trying to make right. He had some property, not a ton, but he just had it all sold off and split amongst his kids. Not like fucking mind blowing, things, but like at least he thought about me,
Mm-hmm.
Unlike,
Yeah.
I mean, one time I went down there with my oldest son's mom to visit my sister, and she was like, "Oh, we have a Cooper family cemetery where my brother got my first brother got killed is buried. She's like, you should go up to the cemetery, and then on your way by, stop and say hi to Dad because he's there. And I was like, I didn't really want to, you know.
Yeah.
But she's like, no, you should do it. It's the right thing to do. And I take what my sister says a lot to heart. She was like she's so much older than me. She's like a second mom.
Yeah.
So I did. Long story short, he's in his garage. I walk in his garage, start talking to him. Talked to him for a few minutes. And I realized I didn't introduce my girlfriend yet.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, fuck, sorry, I'm being rude. Dad, this is my girlfriend, Jessica. And he goes, what'd you call me? And I was like, well, Lewis is his name. And he goes, Eric? I go, yeah. He's like, I've been trying to figure out who the fuck you were. And she just looked at me like she'd seen a ghost. You know?
Nice.
I talked to him for like 10 minutes where he's like,
Yeah. He's like the whole time, like, who's this guy talking?
I was like, all right. I was like, I'm going down to the cemetery. I'll see you. But yeah.
Nice. Yeah, dude. I mean, it's just like, you know, we're doing the best we can with what we have, and like you said, put more tools. It's like, you know, like in your fighting game, you go to learn more ways to be better.
Well, that
as a fighter, same with being a dad.
Right,
you know,
martial arts,
more tools in the toolbox to try and be better. You know,
training taught me how to. It's Miyamoto Musashi, right? Know the way broadly, and you will see the way in all things. So martial arts. Just I can almost sound like a religious. I'm not right now, but I can get to a point where I sound like almost like somebody preaching to you, right?
Yeah.
But it does a lot of different things for different people. But for me, it just kind of taught me how to approach everything in life. It's not going to be perfect at first. When you first learn how to do something in jiu-jitsu, it's not fucking perfect. When you first learn how to do something, first learn how to throw a proper punch, it's not perfect, right? You're learning. It's through repetition and trying to do it better, you get better, right? So you can't harp on, this situation happened and I said the wrong thing. What you can do is go to the person, even your kid. There's been times I've went to my kids and been like, hey, yesterday this happened and I handled it wrong and I'm sorry. I should have said this, but I was a little more frustrated than I should have been, and that's my bad. I'll try to do better, and I do try to do better. I don't just tell them I'm going to try to do better. I make an effort, but I think that's important because kids are so used to being told what to do and been told to say sorry or, this, that, and other, that they don't hear it enough from their parents, even when they can tell their parents are fucking up.
Yeah.
Right? You have to acknowledge when you fuck up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And don't be so stuck in your ego or whatever it may be to not approach your kid or your friend or whatever. It's like
that's and that's the thing, like you said, the ego, man. There's so many times I let my pride get in the way, and I'm in a 12-step recovery program where we're trying to eliminate that, and taking short accounts and supposed to be owning our stuff. Every day,
Popson taught us all this years ago. Ego trip.
Yeah.
That was a cool experience with my oldest kid. The first show I ever took him to was State of Conviction.
Oh, nice.
And years and years and years ago, Popson and I had talked about our dads. He had a rough time with his dad.
Yeah.
We remember the old fantasy. We were actually sitting like by the bathrooms. There was like that little half boat table thing.
Yeah.
It sticks out in my mind. We were sitting down in there talking before our State of Conviction show, I believe. Yeah. And we're talking about our dads and this and how we got on the subject.
Wow.
I think I just mentioned that Bandon was like my jam because it reminded me of shit with my dad and this. And we talked about it. And then that night he called me up to do a song with him. And I don't know if you, almost every State of Conviction show I've ever been to after that, he called me up to do a band with.
Nice.
Which is super cool. Super cool they do to do, right?
Yeah.
And it felt good and whatever. But I took my son to a State of Conviction show, and he met my son for the first time, and he's, like, hey, and he's telling me like, good to see you breaking the cycle and this and that and other. And then when Abandon comes up, he calls me up and my son.
Nice.
So my son's first show, which, to the wide world, State of Conviction is like, nothing maybe, but to hear to us,
Yeah.
it was a big deal. So my kid's first show, he got to stand on stage while I got to sing Abandon with Pops and then say the conviction to them. And I was like, man, you don't realize how spoiled of a moment you just had.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, my dad would have never done anything that's cool for me, But my kid still talks about it, and and I'm grateful for Jason to make that happen, because that was a memory I can share with my kid. That's fucking priceless.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I mean, I could go on for hours talking about, just Jason alone.
Yeah.
I think with some of what our relationship with him has been through the years.
Yeah,
But,
we can go on for hours talking about kids,
talking about kids, talking about fighting, talking about I've come to find that Ray Rowe's dad and my dad were actually like friends.
Oh, really?
At one point too, and Ray Rowe's dad, when my dad passed, messaged me. He was like, "Your dad was a very good man," and all this stuff. So that was kind of cool to find that.
Well, I guess that makes sense because they don't live very far from here.
Yeah, and they're both very involved in their church stuff.
Yeah,
whatever. So that's how they got connected. But yeah, I want to get ready to wrap up with you. Like I said, we could go on forever, but I want to ask a couple of questions I normally ask my guests I have on here.
I'm just an asshole.
What's that?
I'm just an asshole.
No. Who are three people who've inspired you and you could credit for making you the person you are today?
Oh, that's a great question, and I can answer that pretty quick. They're not the only three people. Obviously, I get a lot of inspiration, but in my personal life, not having a dad around. I was thinking about this actually last month with Father's Day. Jerry Davis, who is Daly's uncle, was my Hapkido instructor, which is where I learned how to basically what I was saying. It's through repetition you get better.
Yeah.
Right. And that was a big lesson he taught me. And the guy cared for me a lot. Still does. Right. And at the time I was still kind of young and still making some bad choices. And he would tell me, don't fucking do that. And coming up watching Kung Fu and Bruce Lee and all this, is like you respected your martial arts instructor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Way different mindset then. Now it's like coaches and stuff. It's not the same, but so I was like, well, I don't want to do this. I don't want to upset him. Maybe he won't let me train with him or whatever the case may be. Yeah. And I had a good relationship with him. He's actually my oldest son's godfather. Mm-hmm. So he was a big inspiration for that. And then his brother, Mike Davis, was the first guy that took me under his wing to do any kind of strength training. And through that, you learn that you just have to keep pushing. You have to keep pushing. And it's not just about the weight, right? You could just say it's just about the weight. I got to keep trying, keep pushing, add a little more to get stronger. But that transfers into life.
Yeah.
You just keep pushing. You keep pushing because you got no other fucking choice. Because Mike would let you almost die under the weight because he wanted you to keep pushing, right? So it builds a hardness. And then my brother-in-law, my sister's husband, I lived with them for a short time, around 5th or 6th grade. But even before that,
is he the pastor?
He's the pastor. And he would, even before that, when my sister and him were in a young marriage, and even when they had their first kid, who's only a few years younger than me, it's only 4 years younger than me, right? They would take me over there into their house a lot to keep me away from the bullshit. Mm-hmm. And he's a pastor, so he speaks for a living. I mean, he had other job. He recently retired, but one of his main gigs and the things he's most passionate about is speaking. And through that, I learned to try to, and I've failed at this many times, especially when I was younger, but as I've gotten older, I've gotten better, to try to speak correct, try to say what I want, say what I mean what I say. Mm-hmm. Totally fucked that up a lot as a kid, but it's a hard lesson, and through trying to get better.
Once again.
Right? And to, just try to be kind and give grace, even though I'm not a super practicing religious guy. grace is something that people really overlook nowadays. We all say dumb shit. We all say fucked up shit sometimes. You might say something. I could say something. Could have said something anytime today that kind of offended you. And I would just hope for the grace that you would say, you would give grace and be like, well, and hey, man, and I would say, hey.
We see it with our friends on Facebook a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I could go, hey, didn't mean to hurt your feelings. And you go, I get it. Like, it came out wrong. Give me the time to say, or maybe I said something to you 10 years ago that upset you. And hey, well, I'm a different dude now. Yeah. If you're not a different person than you were 10 years ago or 20 years ago, yeah, it's a you problem. It's not a me problem, right? Like, and I'm not the same person I was 10, 15, 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. I mean, some baseline stuff, but overall, like you try to grow and be better. And if you're not, well, you're just fucking yourself.
Yeah.
So those are the three guys that I pull a lot of inspiration from, like, nice. And because of my brother-in-law, I can get a little chatty.
Nice. And then I haven't got to ask this one in a while, but favorite MMA fighter?
Oh, that's fucking tough, bro. Especially for me. Favorite MMA fighter? Ooh. Of all time?
Yeah, I mean, who
all time?
Your favorite
all time would probably be Bossrood.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, Bossrood. He's just he's a wacky guy. He's fun. And he's the one that inspired me to start kicking people in the fucking liver.
Nice.
So, probably all time. Not that he's like most technical, most crazy, brilliant fights. He won a lot. King of Pancrase, UFC champ, plenty of accolades, right? But just his overall personality, the way he fights, I kind of tried to emulate that when I was younger and stuff. And the Dutch kickboxing stuff is just piss people off that might watch this or hear this that do Muay Thai, but I think it's superior to Muay Thai.
Nice. And then I know this is gonna be a lot more special since you've actually got someone there, but any message you have for our military members, like currently serving? Well, I mean, your son's still stateside, but anyway.
No, he's in the Philippines.
Oh, he's in the Philippines.
Yeah, he was in Australia for 2 months. Philippines. He might be leaving the Philippines today or tomorrow to go back to Australia.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's on.
I always wanted to say
it's technically a deployment, but they're just doing. It's a training deployment, I guess.
Next time you talk,
I'm bad with like remembering the military vernacular and all that. So.
But like, next time you talk to him, real quick, as a side note, ask him if there's any ugly women in Australia. I've yet to ever see one.
So far, he hasn't told me of any.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's something different about Australia.
I did make the joke. Like, don't bring me home any grandkids with that weird accent. And he's like, oh, I'm gonna bring you home an Aborigine and grandchild.
Nice. But any message you have for all the military serving?
Yeah, I would say, obviously, thank you for your service. Be safe, and hopefully we don't see World War III anytime soon. And you guys get to go through a peacetime indefinitely. And there's a lot of people out there that don't seem to have the respect for the military they should for the sacrifice. And look, I'll be the first to admit it. Not always does the government put us in a situation that I think is just. But that doesn't undermine the reason why somebody joined the service.
Yeah.
They join, for the most part, maybe school. Some people have that kind of mindset, but like guys like my kid joined because he wanted to try to be a part of something bigger and be able to protect his homeland and the people in it and their rights and, their freedoms. And they're willing to put up their lives to do that. Like, what bigger honor could someone give you by saying I'll potentially sacrifice my life so you can do whatever the fuck you want to do, and even bitch about the line of work I do.
Yeah.
Like, so don't let that bullshit get in your head. Remember, there's plenty of people that fucking still respect it and are fucking proud to have you there.
Yeah. Awesome. Man, Eric, it was good chatting with you, dude.
Thanks, man. It was a good time.
Yeah. No, this is
it's the first time I ever did anything like this.
Well, I'm glad I got to be pop your
Pop my
podcast cherry. Now, anybody that might be watching this, that I mean, I don't want to send any like creeps your way or whatever, but any people that want to like kind of follow your journey, or inspired or whatever, where do you want them to? Or do you even want people to?
I mean,
follow you
I could care less either way. But if they want to check, I don't post a whole bunch, but my Instagram is just my name and _216. And then if anybody wants to train at the, in my opinion, best gym in Lake County, it's King's Combat Training Center. It's on Instagram under that, Facebook under that. I don't think we have any TikTok or any of that bullshit, but but it's on there. I do post some stuff from there more than anything, probably, and the gym posts often. If you ever want to come out, get some training, come out. Want to come out and get some open rolls. If you already train and you want to get some cross training, come out. You're more than welcome. And let's get on the mat and have a good time.
Nice. Awesome, buddy. Well, hey, I'm glad we did this.
Yeah, man. This is fucking great.
Big changes are coming to the Boondoggle in 2025. New year, new logo,